Hello everyone! I've already done the story of Legion so far, but Blizzcon 2015 has given a few more details, so I thought it'd be fun to sit down and look at the new information. This should go without saying, but I will be talking about Legion, so if you don't want any spoilers, then let me just say thank you very much for watching and please turn off the video right now. Let's begin, shall we? Previously on World of Warcraft, our heroes on alternate Draenor defeat Archimonde and put a stop to Gul'dan's plans. But Gul'dan has made a pact for untold power with the promise that he would raise a fel-infused army and use it to invade and burn Azeroth to the ground. His plans are not done yet, so he's sent by Archimonde to our Azeroth. The Legion would not let him fail. Not again. On our Azeroth, it's now Kil'jaeden that's talking to him, gifting Gul'dan with the near limitless knowledge of the Burning Legion. He's commanded to go to the Broken Isles, the Tomb of Sargeras to be precise, shatter the protective wards around it, and open an ancient gateway to Legion worlds. He succeeds in his mission, which kicks off the largest Burning Legion invasion of Azeroth ever. Khadgar finds out about this, he goes around to warn the world.
The Burning Legion has returned.
Which leads us into Legion's introduction cinematic.
My son, a terrible darkness has returned to our world. As before, it seeks to annihilate everything that we hold dear. I go to face it, knowing I may not return.
They're coming! They're coming back!
All my life I have lived by the sword. I've seen kingdoms burn and watched brave heroes die in vain. It's been difficult for me to trust after losing so much. But from you, I have learned patience, tolerance, and faith. Open fire! Anduin, I now believe, as you do, that peace is the noblest aspiration. But to preserve it, you must be willing to fight. For Azeroth!
the cinematic, we mainly see Varian and Sylvanas, but more heroes of Azeroth will show up, like Jaina, Vol'jin, Gelben Megatork. This is going to highlight our greatest heroes in their darkest hour. At the cutscene behind Blizzard's in-game cinematics panel, they actually gave us a little storyboard teaser of what exactly they're working on. It shows a big battle of our heroes against the demonic forces. Sylvanas and Rangers are standing on top. They're dropping justice from above, yet as Sylvanas looks out, she can see the untold numbers of the Legion ready to crash down upon them. Lorfmar Varan and I assume Bane Bloodhoof, they look very serious about it all. Varian calls out to Megatork, who's fighting in a mech suit, and Megatork's like, "Sup, what do you need?" Massive explosions follow, a ship in the sky, perhaps the Skyfighter itself appears, more explosions on the battlefield, and then this shot of possibly Tyrande, who's looking very, very worried. Cannons explode, more explosions, Gen Greymane unleashing his inner beast in an attempt to turn the tide of battle. Sylvanas unleashes arrow after arrow, but Gul'dan is not so easily defeated. He's working on some sort of spell. We would wake up to a world burning. This is what I presume to be the cinematic related to the whole Storm the Beach area. This is our introduction intro indeed, into Legion. Now a 40 player Alliance and Horde scenario split down the middle, so 20 Alliance, 20 Horde probably. This will take place where we will work together to fight back against the Legion. On the Broken Shores, we try to reach the Tomb of Sargeras. We try to stop this invasion from ever happening. And of course, we won't be successful. It would be a very short expansion if that was the case. Now this is all set up to get the story of Legion going, to get us into these new zones, and this time we're free to level up and experience the story as we please, since all of it will have a flexible level system, with the exception of Suramar, which wait for us at max level. As far as I understand the storyline, most of it revolves around finding ancient Titan relics known as the Pillars of Creation. These were used to shape the world, and only with these relics can we close the gateway at the heart of the Tomb of Sargeras, close the portal, and stop the invasion. Now before we talk about the new information related to the zones, let's first talk about the story behind the new hero class that's going to join us, the story behind the Demon Hunters. Around 10 years ago, as we assault the Black Temple to take down Illidan's Stormrage, Illidan sends his powerful Demon Hunters, as well as some other troops. He sends them away to the planet of Mardum in an attempt to get their hands on the Sargerite Keystone. This keystone was used by the Titan Sargeras to lock away the demons and the evil of the universe on the planet of Mardum, but Sargeras would turn evil, he shattered the planet, he unleashed the demons to form the Burning Legion, and he gave the keystone to Brood Queen Tirana to keep it safe. Its power can apparently open up portals to countless demon worlds, even Argus. So either Illidan wanted this as a powerful weapon against the Legion to teleport onto their planets, or perhaps there was a different reason to it, who knows. Either way, this is where the Demon Hunters start their adventure as they're sent to this planet. They obtain skills from the enemies that they slay, they take down the massive amount of powerful demons, and the testing area that we got to play, it ended after you took down the Brood Queen. It's uncertain what happens after that, but the aftermath is clear, right? We, the heroes, we took down Illidan at the top of the Black Temple, and he, together with the Demon Hunters, they'll be imprisoned by the Warden Maiev within the Vault of the Wardens. Now flash forward around 10 years to the current time period within Legion. This time the Legion strikes out again, and the Demon Hunters are a very powerful tool against them. At first they said that the Wardens were going to flip the switch, open up the cages to get these allies out, but during this Blizzcon they added the detail that the Legion, it's actually going to attack the Vault of the Wardens, and we'd eventually find out why they're doing this and why the whole cinematic with Gul'dan empowering or resurrecting Illidan, why all of that happened in the first place. That's still kept in the dark though, that's up for speculation, but eventually demons will go out to join either the Alliance or the Horde, and they're going to fight with them against the Burning Legion. Which brings us to the zones on the Broken Isles. The order of the story, like I said, leveling is flexible, so the order of the story is up to you, with the exception of Suramar, which is locked away at max level, and a zone called Tal'Dranuf, which is set to be released later on because they're still working on it. This is probably going to be released later on. First up, we have High Mountain. This area is full of huge, dangerous creatures like the Alpine Harpies. It's rugged and home to the High Mountain Tauren and a race called the Drogbar. We'll encounter different Tauren clans, namely Rivermane, Skyhorn and Blood Totem. Now these clans, they've been living in peace with each other for the last generations until the Drogbar rose up and they stole their sacred artifacts, the Hammer of Kaskarov. This action fractured the unity of the Tauren clans, and the preview showed one of the clans, or at least a few Taurens, that were actually infused with demonic energies. Now the Drogbar, they strike out in an attempt to rule all of High Mountain. We go in to help the High Mountain Tauren, which ultimately leads us into a dungeon known as Neltharion's Lair. The Drogbar used to be enslaved to Neltharion, as most of you know by now was called Deathwing, but now they've turned this lair into their capital city, and even Rephion has been hinted to show up here, although he won't look like we remember him. He's probably grown up a little bit in the years, he's no longer going to be a tiny little whelp, he's probably going to be a little bit bigger, but Rephion is set to maybe make an appearance. Next, there's Stormheim. The land itself is dangerous and treacherous, home to the Vrykul. In this area, we'll see an intro scenario where both factions take part in. We come into Stormheim and we pick up on the story of the Vrykul that have left Northrend thousands of years ago, before Wrath the Lich King even happened, in search of their true gods. We're going to compete with the Vrykul God King, I believe they called him Skarvald, as he tries to gain access into the Halls of Valor, and he's now working with the Legion. This area will dive deeper into the origins of the Gavaldir and the Valkyr, as well as show us Helheim and the Halls of Valor. We'll see new Vrykul, like the Mystic Vrykul, new Valkyr, like the Ascended Valkyr, and a whole new dragonflight known as the Storm Dragons. There will also be a side story between Sylvanas and Gang Greymane that fans are going to enjoy, and one of the slides, it actually showed a quest where Greymane is preparing to take the mighty Skyfire to the bluffs of Stormheim to locate the Aegis of Agramar. However, this land serves as the capital of an ancient Vrykul clan, whose leader also seeks the power of the Aegis, and he will stop at nothing to take its power for himself. Now, similar to Wrath the Lich King, we'll see more of the Norse mythology, with proud warriors being taken to the Halls of Valor for their eternal reward for being the best. In this dungeon, we'll have to prove ourselves worthy in front of Titan Keeper Odin, and we're going to try to obtain one of the pillars of creation, the Aegis of Agramar. The opposite side to this is Helheim, where the unworthy go to become cursed Gavaldir. This domain belongs to the fallen Valkyr Queen Helia, who was betrayed by Odin. He killed her, twisted her spirit into a spectral Valkyr, and some say that she is actually the second Titan Keeper that we were supposed to see in Legion, but I couldn't find a clear source outright stating that she used to be a Titan Keeper. Either way, it's very possible, but either way, we'll board a cursed ship in this dungeon to safeguard the most precious of cargo, and this could be that, for example, the Pillar of Creation, it's stolen by Helia and her minions, it ends up within Helheim and we'll have to go after it, or perhaps the whole Helheim thing, it will allow us to dive deeper into Sylvanas' story, who knows, but I'm very excited about this zone. Then we have Val Sharra. This area has been described as a druid paradise. This is the place where Malfurion Stormrage so long ago was trained by the demigod Cenarius in the ways of the druids, yet a darkness creeps into the land. The Emerald Dream has been corrupted by Xavius and possibly the old god N'Zoth, turning it into the Emerald Nightmare. Not even demigods are safe from its corruption as it appears, and we'll have to go into the dungeon called Darkheart Thicket at the base of the world tree called Shaladrasil, to go and save Malfurion Stormrage, who has once again been taken by the Nightmare. This is also what happened in the novel Stormrage, and I was wondering how exactly Malfurion would be in the position to get captured again. I think that the Moose Mount questline that they added in the latest patch, I think we can find the answer there. By the way, a big thank you to Riseborn and his guild Tactical Magic, which you can find on the realm Defiance Brotherhood on the European side of things. These guys and girls were kind enough to carry my butt through the Archimonde fight, to get me the Moose Mount and get me the questline. So all of you, thank you so very much for helping me out with this. In the questline, you bring a remnant of chaos to Malfurion Stormrage, which drops from Archimonde on either heroic or mythic. I couldn't find out if the Horde also goes to Malfurion, but either way, Malfurion says that he's encountered this power before within the Rift of Aln. And the Rift of Aln is an area within the Emerald Dream. This is the area where an ancient evil resides, which at the end of the novel they couldn't take care of yet. So Malfurion decides to go to Val'sharah to seek guidance from his mentor to go back to the place where it all started for him. Now the players end up with a sweet moose mount, while Malfurion, this is probably the moment where he'll be captured again by the Nightmare as he tries to uncover the meaning behind the remnant of chaos. So part of this zone is all about the Druids, the Emerald Dream, the Emerald Nightmare. We'll see former green dragons who are corrupted by the Nightmare, Nightmare Dragons. We're going to try to take care of this corruption until eventually we'll actually climb the corrupted world tree Shaladrasil to go into the raid, into the Emerald Nightmare itself, and we're going to save the world before it all turns to darkness. Next to that whole part, there's also the max level dungeon called Blackrook Hold. This is a haunted night elven fortress which played a very important role during the War of the Ancients. This is the ancestral home of Lord Ravencrest, a mentor and idol of Illidan way back when, yet he died during the War of the Ancients. We'll go in to discover more about what Illidan is up to. The preview showed a few demons, a few demon hunters. Well, interestingly enough, it also said that in the end of the dungeon, we'll confront Lord Ravencrest, so I wonder how and why he's going to go back. Then there is Azsuna. This area was hit pretty hard by the Sundering, but interestingly enough, it was already destroyed by Queen Azshara before the whole Sundering happened. In this zone, we'll hopefully find out why Azshara went out to attack and curse her own people. Well, we're also going to contest with her minions, like Atisha, who are trying to gain control of the Pillar of Creation located within this zone. I believe there's a dungeon here called Eye of Azshara, and the Naga are getting a model update, as well as introducing new creatures like Wrath of Azshara, which looks amazing. We'll see sea giants, like big ass sea giants. We'll see the male counterpart to the Banshee called a Spectre. There's going to be a dying remnant of the Blue Dragonflight who found refuge here, and then we'll see wardens roaming around, not only in this area, you'll come across them a few times throughout the Broken Isles. Then there's the max level dungeon in this zone, where we'll eventually return to the Vault of the Wardens, so this is going to take place after the Demon Hunters already broke out of there, and we'll discover why exactly the Legion attacked this place, and why they wanted Illidan's body. It was also hinted that the Demon Hunters were not the only creatures locked away within the vault, so should be a pretty interesting dungeon. Now in the sky, you can see the floating city of Dalaran, and this will be our main city within Legion. Besides of course the Order Halls, this is where you're going to relax, this is where you're going to hang out, and the city will receive an upgrade. As the floating city comes closer to the Tomb of Sargeras, more secrets about this city will be revealed. Someone asked what exactly prevents the demons from simply attacking the city, and they hinted that we'll find out what exactly is protecting it, some stuff is going to go down, the Violet Hold will be a dungeon again, and a whole bunch of artifacts are stored within this city. Interestingly enough is that they mentioned that Khadgar is going to lead the Kirin Tor and that Jaina will step down as their leader. It's uncertain what events will cause this. My first speculation was that Jaina was simply going to be pissed with Khadgar for his willingness to work together with the Hordes. Yet at the same time, we do know that she will be part of the whole Storm the Beach intro, so she is already working together with the Horde herself. So I wonder what's going to go down here, I wonder what's going to happen. Suramar, the final zone that we can talk about, this is locked until you reach max level. This land was also hit hard by the Sundering, yet their capital city still stands. It was protected by a protective spell channeled by the might of the mages and the harnessed power of a great arcane well, now known as the Night Well. Here we'll find a new adaptation of the Night Elf race called the Nightborn. These Nightborn are very skilled with arcane magic, they can summon arcane weapons, and not all of the Nightborn agree with their leaders' choices. Some of them don't agree with teaming up with the Burning Legion and Gul'dan. Some of them will actually go out, reach out to us, team up with us, and within their society, if you mess up, if you commit a crime, you'll get exiled. Very similar to the Blood Elves, Nightborn have become dependent on their source of arcane magic. So when you're exiled, you first turn into a Nightfallen as you're suffering from the withdrawal from no magic. And if you fail to find some sort of arcane substance, you'll turn even further into something that they called Withered. Once you're at that stage, once you're withered, there's no going back. And these withered creatures, they will be found all around the dark places of Suramar. Now what I found interesting was that they mentioned that this whole protection thing, it kept them locked away from the outside world, until of course Gul'dan showed up and convinced their leader Elisande to lower their shield and let him and his legion buddies in. This means that the Nightborn have no idea what happened to the outside world, possibly don't even know that the Queen Azshara is a Naga now. In the preview you could see a few statues which could be for their Queen Azshara. I wonder if the Naga and the Nightborn will interact with each other, and I wonder if they get a little bit of storyline going. Now next to that, we'll also see two dungeons called the Suramar Catacombs and the Suramar Noble District. Both of them are surrounding this whole city storyline. They described it as infiltrating the home of one of the most powerful noblemen of Suramar, as they're holding a little party there with the most powerful Nightborn present. We'll even see the Grand Magistrix herself will use these catacombs beneath the city, beneath the entire zone. We're going to find an entrance into the palace. There's a mini achievement, you might say, because as you can imagine, you can't just knock on the door and be let in. We'll have to be sneaky beaky like, and we're going to go under the city, come out again, attack the whole noble district, and then possibly move into the palace. This palace is the raid connected to whole Suramar zone. This is the home to the Eye of Aman'Thul, another pillar of creation. The Nightborn abused this artifact to infuse their Nightwell with energy. This is Gul'dan's base of operations, so we'll go into the palace, we'll make our way up, we're going to take care of the minions, we'll even face off against the Grand Magistrix, who has powers over time granted to her by the Eye of Aman'Thul. We'll eventually even encounter Gul'dan again, and this time there's no escape. This time we're going to finish Gul'dan. That's about all the information I have for you so far with the zones. There are a few hints here and there, but there's no real solid information, like the whole Illyria and Turellian storyline that they're coming back. Didn't touch upon it because we don't really know how that's going to go down. There was a hint that the avatar of Sargeras might show up in the tomb of Sargeras, and even Karazhan might become a dungeon later on. Like I said, there's no real solid information to actually talk about that, but what I mentioned at the start, it seems like this entire storyline is all about getting our hands on the pillars of creation in order to close down that rift. It seems like these pillars, they're named after members of the Pantheon, and for those that don't know, the Pantheon is the group of titans that leads all the other titans. These are the guys that are responsible for the formation and shaping of Azeroth. So I checked out the list, of names. This is what we know so far, and a few of them are also going to be speculation. We have the Eye of Aman'Thul, the High Father and leader of the Pantheon. This one will be found within Suramar. We have the Hammer of Kaskarov, the ultimate craftsman. This will be found within High Mountain. The Aegis of Agramar, champion of the Pantheon. He was the successor of Sargeras. Sargeras was the original champion of the Pantheon, but he turned to darkness, and Agramar followed him up, like he became his replacement. His artifacts will be found within Stormheim, which leaves us with the known members of Norgannon, Golganeth and Eonar. Now if I had to place them in zones, I would say that the something of Eonar, protector of life and nature, this will be found within Val'sharah, since that area is all about druidism and nature. The something of Golganeth, creator of the skies and seas and father of the sea giants, this will be found within Azshuna, since sea giants will play a big part in that area. The something of Norgannon, the master of all magic, knowledge, secrets and mysteries, this will be found within the locked zone Tal Draneth. Now the Broken Shore could be a thing, but I think that's more of an introduction zone, and Azshuna could also apply to Norgannon, because we have the whole Blue Dragonflight here, but I had to place him somewhere, and I think Golganeth makes more sense compared to the giants than Norgannon does with the small Blue Dragonflight, but who knows. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time to end this video, since I've been going on for long enough. There are a lot of stories that are going to be part of Legion, and I'm very excited, as you might tell, to see how it's all going to play out. For now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time, guys, see ya!